Hello there, and welcome back to Star Wars Interworlds. This is Shadow of the Republic, Episode 3. The goal of today's episode is, probably as the title implies, to scale up as much as possible, as quickly as possible. And to that end, what I'm doing right now is a ship seizure mission for a second Acclamator assault ship. This just goes to show again why I don't spend a lot of time personally flying large ships in this game. So what I'm doing, the reason I've taken manual control is that the AI is not great at doing boarding missions. It's just not. And it is a lot easier to just not try to get it to do a boarding mission. Especially early game, when you can't afford to fail, really. And I'm coming in on the approach from the front of this ship. That way I start out in its major field of fire, and I can kind of body block the shots with my ship, and give the boarding pods kind of a moment of safety.
Protect the ship.
And then as soon as it looks like I have distracted the target enough, gotten enough of my boarding pods on target, what I'm going to do is zoom away out of its field of fire, because again, Acclamators can't really fire, or Star Destroyers in general, honestly, can't really fire behind themselves all that well.
Got it.
I do, of course, still take some hits there.
Shields are down.
But, you know, repairing is pretty cheap, and Star Destroyers are not. So I think this is worth it. The cost of my Marines and also repairing at the equipment dock is going to be more than covered by the payout for the mission itself. So it's all profit on top of that. So the entire, I believe an Acclamator is worth 10 million credits in this mod. Of course, they're worth far more than that to me. I skipped ahead a little bit here, and
I need an update.
just because it takes so long to board a ship when it's at full hull points. But of course, it's worth more, cost you less if you're
Falling back.
not having to repair the ship, so, you know, that, and you don't risk the reputation loss from
Continuing
destroying components. But as you can see, this is not looking great.
Autopilot. Disengaged.
Well, that's okay, because you can always try again. They're just battle droids, after all. That's what we decided. The royal we.
Unknown object.
Continuing engagement.
They say it's too risky to engage.
Now, what I'm doing with my fighter
One of
here
the teams is pinned down.
is exploring. You can see that even though I know from the map, and Obi-Wan knows from his experience with, you know, space travel, that there is a connection here, Smugglers Run. I believe, don't quote me on it, but I believe this is actually where Han Solo will later
Jump
make his
completed. Smugglers Run.
famed run that shows up in that Solo movie. I know that this sector connects these two areas of space, but the autopilot would try to take me all the way around the galaxy
Unknown object.
to get there because I hadn't discovered the path yet. So I'm just flying through this bin of pirate scum and villainy to discover these gates and open up a trade route for myself that I wouldn't otherwise be able to access, to save myself a lot of time in the future while this boarding mission is going on. But as you can see, I am for sure not winning this time.
Continuing combat.
I didn't get enough Marines on target. They had more than enough on board to repel my attack, even though I had, I
Heavy
believe,
losses.
don't quote me, I wasn't really paying that much attention, believe I had double the combat
Lots of
power.
resistance.
It doesn't really mean anything. Never in X4 can you trust the attack strength and boarding resistance numbers. Just never. You have to have an overwhelming advantage in order for that to matter more than just the crew numbers. Honestly.
I'm calling it. Abort.
I mean, if you have the disadvantage, you obviously don't want to do that because it means that they have high-level Marines on board. But bad idea to just go, oh, well, this is enough Marines to double their defending strength. It should be fine. It's not. It's not fine. The math on that is just not great. I don't know what the algorithm looks like under the hood, what the formula is, but not accurate at all. I'm not sure why I left so much dead space in on this. But you can see down in the bottom left that I've got guidance to a mercenary Dreadnought. And I know it says it's for the Twin Suns, but it's not. Anything tagged mercenary, corsair, raider, etc. is a pirate ship. And I happened to see this on the map as my Acclamator flew by, and I knew that I wanted to try to have it because the Dreadnought is one of my absolute favorite L-size ships.
Dreadnought class cruiser.
And if I can snag this from the pirates, because it is an L-sized warship, you cannot completely force bail them all the way to 0 and then take it as an abandoned ship. You have to get Marines on the ship.
Autopilot. Disengage.
But my goal is to destroy the engines, keep it in this empty section of space, kind of harass it with my Acclamator or even maybe with this fighter until most of the crew, not necessarily all but the captain, but most of the crew is abandoned. And then just, like I've been doing, flood it with boarding pods from the Redemption, which is, you know, my Acclamator class assault ship. But first I need to take out this escort fighter, because that is actually the, if you think about it like rock, paper, scissors, that is the counter to my normal
Victor Wing.
plan of just sticking in the blind spot, is if they have more than one ship, obviously that plan is not going to work. So I'm trying to take out this fighter as quickly as possible. And then I plan to take on the Dreadnought. This is a Victor Wing. It's one of the very few fighters that has a turret on top, so they are very, very dangerous to fight against. They can hit you from pretty much anywhere. So between that and the fact that the Dreadnought was right nearby is why I took so much damage in that dogfight, despite having attacked them without warning. But as you can see, my plan didn't really work out. The Dreadnought managed to get away and into that next sector. Of course, I'm not going to give up. I want to pursue that as far as possible. Because again, fantastic ships, Dreadnoughts. They're, in the lore, I believe they take about 16,000 crew, so they are very crew intensive. But even if that were the case, that would actually be an advantage in X4 because of the way that boarding works. But You can see instead they've only got 51 crew in this mod.
We're taking hits.
Unfortunate, because a 16,000 crew vessel, especially one this capable. I mean, I think they make fantastic player ships. They're small enough to still be maneuverable, but they're large enough to have the faster travel speed times, representing, of course, the hyperspace capability in the SWI mod. So, again, in the blind spot right there, in between the engine cones, I'm trying to just harass it down a little bit. I have no idea where it's going or what it's doing. Unfortunately, you can see that because I've scanned it and attacked it, it has been revealed as a pirate vessel. It shows up down there in the bottom right-hand corner. And that means that anyone hostile to pirates is now going to be hostile to the ship. It's no longer undercover. See, like I warned, it is now under attack by some of these ICG patrol forces. I don't remember what that is attacking it, but you can see they've got quite a few fighters coming in, and then you've got the carrier blip down on the bottom left mini-map, and they are just destroying this vessel. Of course, I don't want to give up, so I'm not just abandoning. I'm gonna see this through to the end, just in case they give up or it manages to escape. But as these engines get stripped out, I am less and less hopeful, and especially, you know, the ship has come in range of this station as well, and the Dreadnought, as capable as it is in ship-to-ship warfare and as a player ship, is just not built for fighting stations, especially not alone. I have no idea what the captain of this Dreadnought was thinking, because this is not what this ship is built for. Well, of course I do actually know what he was thinking. It was going up to the station to quote-unquote hack it and take a bunch of its wares and fly off, but because I revealed it, that's not going too hot for that captain right now. Which is bad for him and bad for me. I'm just... Oh, it's a munificent, I think, is what that is. You can see an Acclamator in the background there. Oh, it's my Acclamator. I had called it in here to help me out with something. I hadn't realized the redemption was visible in this clip. And it's just gone. Look at that beautiful ship, though.
Danger.
Requesting permission to dock. Docking permission granted.
Failure happens in X4. Happens quite a lot if you're me. And I like to show that off because not every opportunity goes exactly the way that I have planned. Some of them go exceedingly poorly, and I am often quite lucky to get away with my life.
Acclamator
Well,
one
you know,
transport.
life, quote unquote. I'm lucky to get away without having my ship destroyed. Anyway, that one was relatively safe for me and my ship, of course, especially once I got in that blind spot back there, but quite dangerous for my target, unfortunately. And this is attempt number 2 at taking that Acclamator from the start of the video, just dumping out another cargo hold full of Marines. I want you to imagine this kind of like that scene from the, I believe it's 2003 animated Clone Wars movie, where Master, I believe that was Sacy 10, takes a boarding party from a destroyed Venator and boards a Providence class destroyer. That's what I'm imagining anyway. You know, just troopers, battle droids rather, flying out into hostile gunfire to take out this enemy capital ship.
Contact. Making preparations to breach.
Got it.
Steady. Contact. Making preparations to breach.
Go ahead and scan. Nothing found. You're free to go.
Contact. Making preparations.
Not very many of my men made it onto that ship. Fortunately, it should be more than enough with, they've mostly got service crew aboard, not very many Marines, and I do actually still outnumber them. So it should be more than enough, like I said. Which means we have doubled our fleet power once, of course, the boarding has finished.
Sit rep.
We're pushing through. Lots of resistance.
So in terms of the fleet, I think my plan is to only name the important capital ships, and
Safe to engage.
unfortunately, this is... There are going to be a couple of places and times where I use it as a military ship, but for the main role of any other Acclamators I capture through this series are going to be as a merchant marine fleet, because these are, I mean, they're freighters. Yes, they are rear-line warships, but that's exactly what they are, rear-line. If they are seeing frontline battle, it is because I absolutely need the extra tonnage and firepower, and just otherwise, you know, I wouldn't be able to complete the mission. So, from here on, that is exactly what I'll be using this for. The Redemption here is going to continue on as a troop transport for boarding ships, and kind of serving as my de facto flagship until I'm able to get a dedicated real warship. But this other one is going to be the first of my merchant marine fleet, and as such, it's not going to get, it's not going to get a name. Yes, that's entirely because I don't trust myself to come up with that many cool names and keep up with that many ships. What you're seeing now is another visit to the Bounty Hunters Guild, and it is for a very specific purpose. I am looking for that first flagship I mentioned, the first true dedicated warship. This is one of my favorite ways to kind of track those down. I mean, I am also checking just for missions to make a quick buck, but and not necessarily just the money either, also even mostly for the reputation bonus. But as you can see, you can sort these by large and extra large, and what you've got right here is a Hapen Nova, which is a, I'm going to call it a strike carrier. It's got quite a few very powerful forward-facing guns, both turbo lasers and ion cannons, as well as the ability to field a full squadron, that is 12 fighters, or snub fighters, you know, it could be fighters, interceptors, bombers, heavy fighters, scouts, whatever, with carrier logic. So that means full rearm repair for anything you have blueprints for, as well as point defense and launching and landing dynamically rather than manually. What I'm doing here is placing down my second station. I'm going to go into this in more detail at the beginning of the next episode, but the important bits here are that essentially solar power plants are free money, free pilot training, etc.
Jump
I think I
completed.
discussed that in the
Free.
last episode. And so the more of these that I build, the more intelligence I get from the sensor arrays, the more high-skill pilots I get from the couriers I assign, and the more money I get to support my warfighting operations. They also give passive rep bonuses to the factions you trade with, and in Star Wars Interworlds, you also have to have certain numbers of certain types of stations to unlock ships and blueprints with the factions, and it's kind of a gated reputation system.
Disengage.
And it kind of flashed on the screen for a minute there. Like I said, I'll go into more detail on this in the next episode, but
Nav beacon.
I'm just, like I said at the beginning, scaling up all through this episode. I'm doing everything I can to turn that first station and that first Acclamator freighter into as much capability as possible, as quickly as possible. I think I was recording for 7 hours this time. So this is quite a bit cut down. And what I'm doing right here, if you didn't see the mission in the bottom left, is using the Bounty Hunters mission I just picked up to track down that Nova. So it's got those beacons on the last reported sightings, which I believe that says 11 minutes ago. I can't get this to go into full screen while I'm doing my voiceover. Makes it a little difficult to read. But I'm using this to track that down because it makes it a lot easier to find these pirate vessels before you have
Nav
a
beacon.
full-blown sensor array. Of course, once you have, a bunch of satellites put out all over the galaxy, or a bunch of stations with sensor arrays, you don't need to rely on this sort of trick. You can just zoom out on the galaxy map and type in the name of the ship you want
Nav
to find
beacon.
and guide towards it. But early game, when you don't have all of that juicy intelligence, this is a good trick, in my opinion, to kind of track those down. It's not a get out of jail free card on that. You still have to search for it, but as you can see, you can use your long range
Nova
scanners,
battle cruiser.
and it makes it much easier to find them. It gives you a ballpark. And then once you do get up there and scan them, you can use that mission, to keep track of them until you're ready to board them, or destroy them, or do whatever.
Sure, scan anytime.
Of course, I'm not actually hostile with the Hapes Consortium, so I can scan them, and it does put me at risk of that same issue I had earlier where I scanned the Dreadnought to see the strength of the crew, and it revealed the vessel as hostile to the Sector Patrol Forces. I'm gonna have that same issue here. Fortunately, the Nova battlecruiser is a much more powerful ship, and it has escorts. It's also a little bit faster, I believe. And because they're running, the raider logic of trying to board and destroy ships rather than trying to hack stations, it's a little bit safer. At this point, I don't actually realize that I can just use the mission to keep track of this ship. So I do assign a pilot to that Y-wing right there, and tell it to dock in the ship. Just kind of take advantage of the fact that I'm not hostile with that faction. One advantage that has over, like I said, just using the mission to keep track is that I can go ahead and use the map view to order my ships to follow it while it's in radar range, whereas otherwise I would have to go catch back up to it in order to issue those commands.
done for.
Incoming missile.
So, the goal right now
Danger.
is... Oh gosh. I think I was actually just trying to make my first boarding attempt, but I pretty quickly realized that I can't keep up with the ship as it is. And those interceptors there are going to destroy my boarding pods very quickly.
Nova battle.
So I'm gonna burn some reputation
Incoming
right
missile.
quick and just destroy as many of those as I can.
Danger.
You think you might regret that.
A carrier is always more dangerous with its complement, and now as a strike carrier, of course, the Nova is not helpless, and most Star Wars carriers, in
Incoming
fact, are
missile.
not helpless without their escort, just because the universe kind of follows a do-everything ship rule. For example, the Star Destroyer is a carrier, so is the Venator, and those are obviously very well armored and armed to be carriers. But
Incoming missile.
you've also got examples that follow more common real-world
Danger.
doctrine, where things like the Quasar or the Tun Falk, which is not a new spot, Quasar is though, are just
Incoming missile.
carriers. They are absolutely helpless without their escorts. But
Danger.
as I mentioned earlier, with the Dreadnought and its sole fighter escort, any combat encounter gets to be 1,000 times more dangerous when you go from having one target or one hostile to two or more.
Incoming missile.
You just can't keep track of all of them.
Danger.
Can't get in their blind spots, you
Go
can't
away.
optimize for avoiding their fires,
Incoming.
etc., etc., etc. It's never a good idea to be outnumbered. So, for whatever reason, despite the fact that the Nova is
Can I help?
a dedicated warship, and this is certainly not, and it could absolutely have taken me in a fight, it decided to run away. And I'm going to take advantage of that and work with the Soulless one here and the Redemption to take down as many of these fighters as I can. I just left them here. It should not have done that.
You're pathetic. Since you seem so keen, let's fight. I'm not talking to you. This is important.
So you can see there I do go ahead and claim this free ship.
Escape pod.
It's not really important. I think I sell it later just for some
Angel
seed capital. I
Starfighter.
don't even think I use it for anything before then. I believe the Redemption has already taken down another of the fighters, which means this is a very lopsided battle now. Not that it wasn't before.
I'm
You
not
know,
talking
they had
to
us
you.
4-2, but one of mine
Escape
was
pod.
you know, a
Acclamator
Star
one
Destroyer,
transport.
even if it was a small transport Star Destroyer, mostly equipped with point defense weapons against fighters, so it was already lopsided, but we very quickly won that pretty decisively, I would say. And that leaves the target completely alone. Undefended. Not helpless, but alone. It's a very important disclaimer there, because like I said, this thing could absolutely tear this Acclamator to shreds if it got the right angles on it. You know, if this thing dropped out of hyperspace behind me,
Danger.
that was a bit of a mistake. I don't remember how I managed that, but I did. And I'm stuck. Just completely clipped in. I don't remember if I was distracted or alt-tabbed out or what, but it just... It was bad enough that I did go ahead and teleport out of there with the cheat menu. I considered that a game-breaking bug, and I just did not have the patience to reload that. looking at those Providence-class destroyers in the background, it was absolutely terrifying for a minute when I forgot that they were going to be hostile to this Nova battlecruiser. I thought, oh no, here I am engaging in piracy, and there's a patrol carrier destroyers out there. They're going to absolutely rip me a new one. Of course, like I said, the Hapens are pirates in this mod. I will admit, I'm not very familiar with their lore in Legends of Canon.
Acknowledged.
So, I don't know if that's actually reflective of their role in the expanded universe. But... And then a Pelta just shows up out of nowhere. These things are terrifying, especially because my hull is already a third of the way gone. And my shields are completely gone from having accidentally rammed into the back of that Nova. So you see me just very quickly switch everything as quickly as I can, so that I can open fire on the ship and hopefully not get destroyed on my way out of here. This is why I need a weapons officer.
Just drop the cargo.
We were hit.
For a fight, are you? Okay then.
But I must have surprised him as much as he surprised me, because I opened fire and he chose the better part of valor, that being discretion. Jumped out of there as quickly as he jumped in. I wish I could do that. There's a pretty annoying bug where when you're personally piloting a large or higher ship, sometimes when you travel mode into a gate, you will just bounce off of it, and instead of going through, you'll teleport back into the sector that you were trying to leave, and so you'll get turned absolutely
What's your
around.
status?
We're making our way through the hull.
So I wish I could just vanish back through those that quickly,
Hull damage.
instead of having to very slowly turn all the way around and then wait for my travel drive to engage. Excuse me.
Danger.
Of course, I was not actually trying to engage that ship so much as just keep an eye on this Nova.
You're not much of a pilot, are you?
Which is good, because the Peltas are actually terrifying. Mostly for fighters, because they've got 2 missile turrets installed on every one I've ever seen. Doesn't matter if it's New Republic or CSA, or I think even Camino has them. But those missile turrets, man, they will absolutely shred snub fighters. They are, honestly, they are one of the best point defense weapons I've ever seen in the game. You know, everybody talks about the Lancer. I don't know if it's a bug, or if I just don't appreciate them enough, but the Lancer flag in this mod has never really worked super well for me.
What do you think you're
The
doing?
Pelta's missile turrets, on the other hand, there's also some on the Venator, especially the, I think it's the Hut Venator, trades out the torpedo launchers for missile launchers.
I'll make sure you regret
That
that.
is a very powerful switch, in my opinion. 100% I would rather have concussion missile launchers than heavy torpedoes that I'll never use.
I'm not talking.
The Venator is not, in my opinion, lacking in, you know, anti-capital fires with its heavy broadsides of turbo lasers. What it is, however, missing is anti-snub fighter rolls, versus, especially if it's, you know, lacking its complement. Like I mentioned earlier, carriers without their fighters
Reinforcements arrive.
much reduced. As you can see, this boarding attempt is very, very, very close.
Tell them to fall back.
For a while, I actually thought it was going to be successful, but I did prepare anyway to try again, for obvious reasons, I hope. That's why I have the redemption back here in the sector.
Jump completed. Launch up.
It did jump out, ran away from me faster than I could catch up to it with the redemption. You can see I'm engaging it again, and it's also engaging a
What do you
Republic
want?
freighter, a GR 500. Very expensive ship, very nice ship.
What do you want?
But it's hostile to me, and they had already been attacking it, so it's hostile to them. This poor guy, he got screwed. You know, he was just going about his business, and he stepped into the middle of a battle where both sides hated him.
Spare our lives.
Just drop the cargo. I'll do no such thing.
I'm not talking.
Okay then.
Worth it.
And then, as you can see,
Bailing.
it just completely bails out. I was very surprised about that. I mean, I knew it was possible, because again, it's just a freighter, so there's nothing, you know, stopping it from bailing, like there are for military ships. But it's pretty rare, especially towards the start of the game, because the pilot...
Nova battle cruiser.
I do, of course, send a Marine after it to try to capture it, because I'm not going to turn down the several million credits it's worth. Not sure why this clip has got the audio peaking so much, but I apologize for that. It's also just in general lagging out pretty bad. I hope that doesn't carry through in the final product, and it's just an issue with this preview I'm recording the voiceover over. But as you can see, that Nova also sent out boarding teams after it, despite the fact that there were only like 7 dudes on board. So now it's just almost completely uncrewed.
We were hit.
And I probably could have taken, you know, just a single Marine if it could successfully latch on to a hull.
Requesting immediate backup.
Of course, I didn't try that. Because, of course, the turrets are still active, and several boarding pods were going to get shot down. You can also see, but despite the fact I sent out my boarding pods first, they were so slow to engage and start moving over that the Hapen pods got that GR 500 freighter faster than I could get it. Which is a shame, but, you know, it wasn't really my main goal, so I'm not that worried about it. You also see that cruiser is picking another fight with another freighter.
Contact. Making
So,
preparations
at
to
this
engage.
point, I'm really worried that I'm going to have a repeat of earlier with that Dreadnought, and it's going to get itself destroyed. So I turn off my turrets, and I start making a beeline for that gate to get out of there. Man, I really hope all this lag is just an issue with the preview, not recording. Not that there's much I can do about it at this point. This is kind of an important enough battle to
Nice of you to share
leave
that
in
with me.
anyway.
Just drop the cargo.
And it
No way.
cuts soon.
Looking for a fight, are you? Okay then.
So I am purchasing some couriers to assign to those solar stations. I don't remember what battle I'm in at this point because I did cut away significantly. But I don't think it's important. Or else I wouldn't be, you know, twiddling my thumbs purchasing ships. I am also confident enough in my Marine's ability to take on 5 dudes that I do purchase a squadron of Vulture droids to assign to this carrier once I capture it.
Amazing!
Reinforcements arriving.
You're gonna die.
Jump completed. Kubindi.
Wish you hadn't done that. You won't be able to hold out against us.
We found something out here.
Velblood 22.
I never actually looked at whatever that abandoned ship was. I wish I had, because, you know, free ship would have been cool. Never looked. I mean, I scrubbed through like a half hour of footage in either direction from this like 7 times. And I just never looked. I must have been distracted. I also did not mean to leave this autosave in, but, you know, they happen every, like, 15 minutes in the game, so I want you to just think about how much I suffer for you to sit through those. Because, of course, if I have an issue with the game crashing, I'm going to lose some progress on my recording. But I did successfully capture that Nova, as you can see. So I do assign my squadron as interceptors. And I think I'm about to go ahead and rename the ship. Yeah, oh, well, maybe not. What in the world am I doing? Oh, I'm repairing this one. 3 repairs to that interceptor I captured. That is the main advantage of carriers and expeditionary ships. It's free repairs and rearms on your fighters. And the larger ones can even take in medium ships, not just smalls. So I do go ahead and rename it the Defiance. This is kind of sticking with our theme. Things that I realistically think that Obi-Wan might name his capital ships. So, of course, the redemption is him. Okay. Yeah, I think that handled it. I'm not sure what happened there. I am new to this. But, as I was saying, beautiful ship. Also a gorgeous skybox here. This is what I've captured. The Haven Nova battlecruiser. This carrier that can field 1 squadron, has some powerful fixed guns and a couple of turrets. Not very useful turrets, I'll admit. It's got a heavy turbo laser, I think. Might be a medium. And it's got a kind of heavy ion turret and 1 singular battery of point defense. I think with a ship so clearly outfitted for, you know, that forward-facing firepower, I would much rather have had all of those turret slots put in, or at least replace the heavy turbo lasers with the point defense lasers. But still a very nice ship. The turrets can be a little useful if you want to kind of use them to harass your targets, keep them from pulling in their shields. So that's usually what I use it for, or a little bit of extra damage against, you know, whatever I'm fighting, or if I can't get it turned around in time to engage a quick enemy. So it's not useless, but I think I would have preferred a few more point defense lasers, personally. As you can see, I am putting down Station 3, yet another one of these solar flowers. A sunflower, if you will. And kind of what I'm doing between clips is using those acclamators to ferry cheap wares between production stations and these construction sites so that I can bootstrap these stations as much as possible.
Jump completed. Lower door.
And look at that. I'm taking my third Acclamator, I believe. So I've made quite a lot of progress in this episode, if I do say so myself. Going from, you know, a single half-built solar station, Sunflower, and a single Acclamator to a fleet of 3 Acclamator transports and a true carrier warship, the squadron of fighters. And I'm really, at this point, I am ready. The reason I had to scale up so hard so fast is that in this game, in this mod, there is a surgical strike fleet, or the mechanic of surgical strike fleets, rather, not just, you know, that there's one fleet. But that is to say, your enemies will send a fleet of cruisers out of their way through hostile sectors to attack. So I needed to do it. I didn't have a choice. But now I feel a little more confident in my ability to defend those stations. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode and it's been worth the wait, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.